right one. Share, just like let me know, because I can send you all of this too, Fran.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So it's 3 tips to, well, it's actually 6. I don't know why it says 3 because it's actually 6.
Cool.
So I'm going to kind of skip over a little bit in the beginning because you already are working with me and you know the Healthy Steps nutrition framework, and just like that,
Yeah.
it's a holistic approach. You know, it's not just nutrition and working out, it's sleep, stress, lifestyle support. We just kind of keep it as simple as possible by making it a habit-based approach and focusing on one thing at a time. So with meal prep, it's a really valuable skill to have, especially in the society we live in. And even though we kind of think it's like a really easy thing, we tend to like get caught up in our busy lives and push it to the back burner. And that's when we kind of get into trouble a little bit. So it's kind of like if you have a long day at work and then you come home and you kind of realize that you don't have any food to cook, or you forgot to defrost something. And then you're like, oh, what do I do? And that's when we kind of tend to order out or like go for things that might not be that healthy. So kind of just that lack of preparation. So we've all done it, you know. Even sometimes you might think you have something and then you're just like, oh, you know, I don't. Or the flip side of that is in the beginning of the day, you're feeling rushed in the morning because maybe you slept in and you have to skip breakfast and you're just doing coffee and then stopping at like Starbucks or Dunkin' to get like, you know, coffee and one of their, what do they call those things? The Dunkin' wraps. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But, so not only like are you kind of thrown off your plan, but you're also, you know, spending more money, and you're just adding like processed food, you know, right away, like the sugar, the fat, the stuff that we're trying to avoid. So if we kind of create our plan and like have the confidence to do it, then it helps you not just like, you know, stick to the plan, but it also saves money and you feel better too. So we've got 6 tips and we'll start going over them. And the first one is to block out time right after you go grocery shopping to meal prep. So you really kind of want to make it an appointment with yourself. I feel like probably the weekends are most time when people grocery shop. But once you're done grocery shopping, you kind of want to have time blocked out so you can start meal prepping all of your food. So some of the pro tips here are kind of maybe like set that same date consistently each week to go shopping. Write down a list to save you time and kind of frustration. And as soon as you get home and you put like the refrigerated stuff away, like take that time to pre-wash, chop like your veggies and prep your foods. So if you have that whole time set to yourself, you like kind of stick to it. Again, think of it as like your workout. It's just as important. And just have it written out. You can like, you know, decide kind of what veggies you want to buy, have them on the go, like ready to go for easy snacking and that kind of thing. When you're at the grocery store, you always want to kind of stick to the perimeter because that's where all the good foods are. And just kind of have your list. So your protein, your fruits, your veggies, and then like your miscellaneouses, which is going to be like any condiments, like your whole grains, like your brown rice, your oatmeals, your breads, that kind of thing. And just stick to the list because sometimes, you know, the grocery store can be a little tempting too, especially like if we're hungry or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When we go, they try to get you as you check out. I always am the one, like I start reading everything in the checkout aisle. So first one is to block that time off after your grocery shopping and really just try to make it a set time each week. The second tip we kind of touched on was pre-washing and chopping your fruits and your veggies. So once you're doing this, it's just kind of, you have it ready to go. You can put it in containers. You want to eat more fruits and veggies. Remember, we think about our plate method. We always want to fill half the plate with veggies. Fruit's always a good thing to get in. It's natural sugar. It helps with your sugar cravings and it doesn't have that spike. So whenever you're talking about fruit, you don't really have to worry about the sugar there because it has all the fiber and the other micronutrients to slow the absorption down of the sugar from it. So once you get home from the store, kind of put everything in its place, but keep your fruits and your veggies out on the counter. and then just take the time to wash it off, slice it, chop it so they're ready to eat. I personally keep like peppers, like chopped up peppers, even like baby carrots. You don't even really have to do much with those. Celery, it's all quick stuff just to chop. It really only takes like 3 minutes. Chopping up your broccoli, like into the sizes that maybe you're going to cook them, or like having salad stuff ready to go so you can just dump it in. That's all good ways to do it. And if you're really like stressed for time, maybe a couple things where it's already pre-cut for you. You know, if you're like, I don't know if I'm going to have the time to do it, maybe just buy a couple things that week that are already pre-chopped. Again, we do live in a society where everything is like ready to go for us.
Yeah.
And that even includes the fresh fruit. I know that it's always crazy. Like you can look at a regular pineapple and then a chopped up container of pineapple, and it's like
Right.
a $5 difference.
Yeah.
Sometimes for convenience, you know, we've all been there. So with your berries, you want to like wash them, put them in a container, keep a damp paper towel, and you want to let the lid stay slightly open just to kind of let moisture escape. So that's going to keep your fruit fresher longer, like especially with berries. One thing I do too is an option is just I buy frozen berries, like a big bag of mixed frozen berries.
Okay.
In the morning, I take like a cup out, defrost it in the sink for a little, just run a little water over it, put it in my container, and then I use it in my cereal. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, you can have all that ready to go. It's just there. You don't have to think about it. And when you put it in the fridge, kind of keep it in the front at eye level. So that's the first thing you see when you reach in, like, okay, I should have my veggies. I'm going to grab these. Roast your broccoli, maybe some Brussels sprouts, can saute some green beans, and then you'll have that ready to go as well. Really quick meal, just like some brown rice, some roasted broccoli, and then a protein. You have all 3 macronutrients and you're good to go. So again, roasting and having that stuff in containers already seasoned, already, you know, done for you. You just have to heat it up. That makes it a little bit easier as well. Do you have any questions about the veggies so far? Or the grocery shopping?
No, it all sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is really easy to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you don't feel like doing it, or you know, you
Yeah.
get
I never
distracted by
thought to
other
like
things.
chop it up as soon as I got it home, so that way it's ready to just grab and
Yeah.
go for
Yeah.
something. So that's a good
And
habit.
so tip number 3 is to cook your protein staples to save time. They take the longest to cook. So we're prepping our veggies, and this doesn't have to be in that same block of time. Really, with like what your protein, whatever protein you choose, you could like defrost it, marinate it, season it, throw it in the oven. It's actually a lot quicker than you think. It's just more like the heating of it. But it does take the longest to cook. So you want to just make sure you have that time set aside. A slow cooker is a really good option. You can just kind of dump everything in there. And at the end of the day, it's ready for you. And again, so this is like obviously shredded chicken with some barbecue sauce. You throw it in the slow cooker, even if it's frozen, it's done at the end of the day. You have some of your broccoli, you have that rice that's pre-cooked, you have another meal. If you're not a fan of reheating it, just make an extra serving to set aside like for lunch the next day. So if you don't want to save your meat for like 2 or 3 days, you know, you can always just make your dinner your lunch the next day as well. So that's another thing you can do to save time. Again, it just kind of makes it easier to cook it ahead of time, and then you know it's there. Slow cooker is a great one, especially in the summer, because sometimes we don't like to turn the oven on.
That's
So
yeah.
even in the, like, even now, like, what was it, like last week when we had those 75-degree days, I was like, I really want to turn on the oven, but I have to. It's got so hot.
Right.
You know, so in the summer, this is like a good option because it just sits on a counter kind of thing. And they're cheap. Like, I don't know if you have one or not, but they're not that expensive.
Yeah.
So you can get them at
We
Target.
did like a month or 2 ago, we bought from Jewel. They had pot roasts like prepackaged, and we put that in the slow cooker. So it had like all the veggies we needed. It had the protein. And then my husband got to cook it because he works from home Mondays. So we had that for like a week or 2.
Oh, perfect. See, and then again, that one's really easy because you don't even have to really, like you said, you just dump it in and it cooks for you.
Yeah.
And usually like you
That's
just
smart.
season everything, it turns out really good. I do like a really nice vegan chili in there and just let the beans
Ooh.
sit, and it's like, it's delicious. So
Mm.
love the slow cooker. And like I said, in the summer, sometimes you just don't want to have the oven on.
Yeah.
Next tip, number 4, is to kind of find and save some recipes to keep in your rotation, and kind of just stick with what you like. I feel like for the most part, everybody has their favorite meals, and you just kind of rotate the veggies, to add a little bit of
Yeah.
variety. But kind of have an idea. Like, so before you go shopping, look through some recipes that you're going to like. I know we had kind of talked about overnight oats. That's going to be one that pops up in a few slides here.
Okay.
Just make sure the recipes are balanced. So you just want to make sure you have your protein, your healthy carb, and your healthy fat. So again, just kind of looking for balanced meals. Like, I always keep it really simple. It's usually like some rice or quinoa is my like carb, my starchy carb. I add whatever veggies I'm in the mood for, and then I like rotate my plant protein. So it's really easy, and you can always season them different ways. Like, if you
Okay.
want it to be more like Mexican style, you can use like cumin, chipotle powder. If you're in the mood for Italian, use like oregano, basil. So just changing the seasoning makes
Make a
it
huge
taste like a
difference.
totally
That's
different
cool.
meal too. So like
Really?
adding cilantro is going to give you more of like the Mexican flavor, where like tons of
Yeah.
garlic, you're going to feel. So, and spices, that's kind of a free zone. Like, load up on
Right.
those fresh herbs. I love basil, parsley, cilantro, dill, chives. Like, that's all just variety too. Like, all that stuff has a lot of micronutrients in it too. So
Oh,
cooking with a lot of different herbs. That's actually not even in the presentation they gave me, but I'm going to throw it in there because
yeah.
I feel like it
No, that's
really
fantastic.
flavors everything up. And like I said, you can change things up just by changing the spices.
Yeah.
But variety is good. I always like recommend just finding a couple cookbooks you like. You obviously can go to the Healthy Steps Nutrition website. They have a ton of recipes as
Yeah.
well. And we'll just again kind of touch on, I keep forgetting to hit forward, but write out your weekly meal plan.
Yeah.
Say, that's why I'm hitting backward. That's what I did. All right. And you just want to make sure you're, again, following the plate method.
Like,
So making sure the meals are balanced. But I know you're like really good on that one now. We've been talking
yeah.
about it for a couple months. So there's a couple recipes, and you can find these on the website, Fran. And
Okay.
if you need the link again, let me
Yeah.
know. But the first one they recommend, because it's really easy, is called egg roll in a bowl. I believe it's just like ground turkey, cabbage, and rice.
Yeah.
I do it. I just use I use tofu and crumble it up, but it really is delicious. And I think you just season
Awesome.
it with like coconut aminos or like a little tamari or soy sauce.
Yeah.
So again, with that, it's the flavor.
No,
So it's going to make it taste like an egg roll in a bowl without all like the extra grease and that kind of stuff.
that's
Another
awesome.
really good recipe is sun-dried tomato pesto turkey sausage. You can kind of ground it up, put it over some like whole grain pasta. You can even use like a chickpea pasta to up your like protein and fiber intake. But again, it's kind of all about the seasonings here. So adding like those sun-dried tomatoes in there, fresh parsley, fresh basil. I don't know the recipe off the top of my head, but it looks like
Right.
tomatoes. But they're on the website, and these are all just really simple things you can throw together. You can sub out the pasta for spaghetti squash as well, that kind of thing. So there's different ways to mix that up. Sometimes you want the pasta, maybe sometimes you want it to be a little bit lighter, so you can do like the spaghetti squash. Again, just kind of giving the same recipe a little bit of variety. So these are a couple dinner ones. We're going to kind of switch to breakfast.
Okay.
That's the meal that tends to get skipped over the most, or it tends to be the most unbalanced because we grab things in a hurry. But you do want to make sure your breakfast is balanced, because that's setting you up for the entire day. If you tend to like just eat like maybe a carb and you don't get any protein and fiber in there, and I should say like a simple carb, that's when you're going to have cravings and you like kind of crash towards the afternoon. So couple breakfast recipes, and I know this is one that you were asking about.
Oh, yeah.
And I had sent you that overnight oats article. This is one from their website though, double chocolate overnight oats.
Yeah.
So you're like, that sounds good to me.
I know. I'm
And I feel
excited.
like breakfast is one you kind of just rotate through a couple different meals, you know?
Mhm.
So, and the recipe, I'll give you the link for the website, but I think you have it.
Yeah.
I have it written down. Once I get to that page, I will shoot that over for you. And I know I had sent you that article. Did you try any of those?
Not yet, but
Okay.
I think I'll have some time this weekend to
Yeah, and let me know what you
try
think
'em.
once you get to them. The other
Yeah.
one they recommend is egg muffins. You kind of make them in a tin. You can throw like a ton of
Yeah.
different veggies in there. And it bakes like 12. So, or is that 10? However big the muffin tray
No,
is.
12. Yeah.
12, right? That's what I thought. I was like, I think
Yeah.
it's 12.
3x4.
But yeah, you can throw in a ton of veggies in there and kind of customize it however you like it. You could do one with like broccoli and peppers, one with like cheese and or like whatever you like. Bake it in the oven, have that with a piece of fruit. And that's a pretty good balanced breakfast as well.
Absolutely.
You're getting everything in there. Tip number 5 is going to be have kitchen gadgets that save time. So we already kind of talked about the slow cooker. Another awesome one is an air fryer.
Air fryer. Yeah.
I use my air fryer all the time. I like to use it with like cauliflower. I cut up like tofu and toss it in the air fryer. It also like crisps up veggies. So maybe if you're in the mood for like chips or whatever, you can always like slice potatoes really thin, toss them in a little bit of olive oil and sea salt and just like get them in the air fryer and it'll crisp them up. So you
cool.
have that homemade stuff without all the extra additives in there.
Right.
So air fryer is a really, really good one. And the other one we talked about is the slow cooker. Again, you can put all the frozen stuff into it, turn it on. You're good to go when you get home from work. Another good one to have, because we talked about like slicing and prepping all the veggies, is a mandolin. So that's like really quick. You just slide it over. And they have so many fancy ones too.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
Yeah, that's a really good one. It's called a mandolin. I always want to call it the Mandalorian, but because I watch that all the time.
Yep.
We're not done yet, but we have a couple more. But this is really good for like potatoes, onions, cucumbers, tomatoes, zucchini, cabbage, apples. So it's really quick. So it's really like you just slice it and you're good to go. The last thing you want to make sure you have is just your food storage containers. I personally like glass ones just because you can pop those in the microwave and heat them up and you don't have to worry about bringing other bowls. And they have so many, like Costco sells a big thing of like meal prep ones that are microwave safe. It's like glass. Again, with the plastic ones, it's just like, okay, well then I have to remember to bring, something to heat it in, and that can be a pain in the butt too.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah,
I like
making sure you have
containers. I never thought to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salad
And then
on one side,
you work like a 9 to 5 job, right?
Yeah.
Do you bring your lunch with you normally?
Yeah, I'll bring my lunch today. I ran out of stuff, so I got Subway, but I got chicken with avocado and pepper jack cheese and tomatoes. So
nice. Yeah. So again, like if you just have the glass containers, they have the ones that are already portioned out. So you can kind of see the plate method there, half veggie and the quarter protein, quarter healthy carbs. So yeah, that again, it's just a little thing, but if you're out of containers, you're just like, screw it, I'm not going to bring anything with me, that kind of thing. Last tip is to just make sure you have a well-stocked pantry. So that's kind of like the other staples we were talking about, like your oats, your quinoa, your brown rice. It just kind of streamlines everything and it helps to keep it simple. Great things to have would be like whole grains, like canned beans, oils, baking essentials, mixed nuts, dried fruit, like your nut butters, that kind of thing. I'm always a big pusher of Costco just because you can buy everything in bulk. And then have like the dried herbs and spices in your pantry as well. Herbs and spices, I know we touched on that. They're rich in phytochemicals. So it also actually helps to fight inflammation and reduce damage to your body's sells. So like we said, different spices and flavors. Have some dried ones like your cumin and your, but also I really like fresh ones. Like obviously I have to keep those in the fridge, but
Gotcha.
I'm just they taste a little bit fresher too.
Yeah.
Any of those recipes we talked about, the website is healthystepsnutrition.com. And then there's a / healthy-recipes. And I'll actually send this to you when I check in with you tomorrow, along with that dining guide, but you can find all the recipes there and like just different ideas. We know the HSM principles, and again, you and I talk about this all the time, but we'll just go over it again. You just want to focus on your whole foods first, especially when you're meal prepping. Make sure you have a balance of the macronutrients and you're just limiting the amount of processed carbs and sugar. And we're really looking to watch that added sugar. You don't ever want to get more than six added teaspoons of sugar a day. If you don't like cooking, it's not that big of a deal. You just have to find a couple simple recipes. You do not have to be a brilliant chef to throw things in the slow cooker. You can buy those microwavable bags of rice, those like little ones they sell at the store. They're ready in 90 seconds. So it's really just like kind of finding simple things and finding your groove, and you just kind of have to practice a couple things until you find something you really like. But it's not, do you like to cook?
I want to, I'm just not a natural. So I would love to do it, but it just, it doesn't come natural. So I try my best.
I hear you. And that's the same thing. I would just find like a cookbook you really like and just play with a few things, and keep it as simple as possible. Like you said, some of the best stuff is from like a slow cooker that, you don't, I don't even know if, I guess you're still a cook if you're doing it because you're cooking it, but you're literally just dumping it all in there. So if you don't like veggies, you just have to find a way. There's always a way, like roasting them, making sure they have a nice crunch, seasoning them with stuff that you like, and just sneaking them into things. If you're not a fan of like spinach or like whatever, just put it maybe in a shake so you don't taste it as much. You can make rice out of cauliflower and use that as your base for things. So there's just, you just got to find a way to sneak them in. I'm always like, you just have to learn to like veggies. So with everything we went over, we had the 6 tips. You really just want to focus on one at a time. So I know we went over all of these, but I don't expect you to be like, okay, I'm going out tomorrow and I'm doing all 6 things. So out of all the 6 tips, and I'll kind of run over them again really quick, it's blocking out your time after grocery shopping, washing and chopping your fruits and veggies, cook your protein staples ahead of time. That was number 3. Number 4 is find and save recipes you like. Number 5 is have the right gadgets. Number 6 is keep an organized and well-stocked pantry. So with all of those, I just want you to think about them and like pick one to start with and go from there. Focus on that for a little bit, and then you can add another one. It does get easier every time you do it, I promise.
Cool.
So that is pretty much everything. You were the only one on with me, Fran. So I
finally made it, and it's just a one-on-one. So.
Did you have any questions about anything? Because I know there's like a lot to go over, but again, let's keep it simple. We can like kind of think about this, and when I check in with you too, you can tell me which one you kind of thought resonated the most with you, and that you want to try to do. Is that your dog crawling at you?
Yeah, he wants to play. My husband's out at dinner with his friends, so
I get it. Mine does the same thing.
I'm sorry.
No, don't even worry. Never apologize for the puppies.
But no, I'm excited to try. I think I want to go with steps 1 and 2, just making that time to grocery shop with a plan and washing and prepping them so that I can meal plan.
And like I said, when you put them in the fridge, just have them like when you open the fridge, so they're like the first thing you see. But that'll be a good one. So I will check in with you tomorrow, and we'll just kind of like talk about that, and maybe you can let me know we'll kind of hold you accountable a little bit. I'll be like, okay, what day are you going grocery shopping? And send me a picture of your veggies. You doing okay?
Yeah, he's attacking me.
No, that's okay. All right. Well, I will check in with you tomorrow, Fran. We'll work on the first and the second one, or we'll talk about those. And if you think of any questions, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you, Nikki.
Have fun playing with the pup. What's his name?
Mickey.
Mickey. Bye, Mickey.
Mickey. Say bye to Nikki. Say bye-bye.
Sweet. I will talk to you tomorrow, Fran.
Talk
Have
to
a
you
good
tomorrow.
night.
Bye.
Bye.